Hello, this is Catherine Perez-Shagdam with Elnet UK. I'm the head of policy and communication. And today for our podcast, I have the great pleasure of introducing Mithal al Alusi, who's a former politician in Iraq, an MP. Mithal, it's a true honor to have you. I was just reading up on your biography earlier today, and I've been doing that since our meeting, and I found your story to be absolutely fascinating. I applaud your courage. I know that actually because of your courage, you were giving a very, very special award of moral courage by the American Jewish Committee, and I believe that was in 2005, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations on this. It's very much deserved. And I would like you to introduce yourself to our readers and listeners, but also, if you could go back to the reason why, you felt the need to travel to Israel when no one else, in the Arab world wanted to have any form of a relationship with the Israelis and even the Jewish community. I find it fascinating that, very, very early on, I think you're a pioneer in this. You understood the need for normalization and your hunger for peace and prosperity in the Middle East, allowed you to see beyond the bias and the prejudices. And I would love to hear from you and for you to tell us in your own words, what motivated you.
Thank you so much. It's really a great honor to be here with you, and all of the best and wishes for all of the colleagues with you organization. 2003, the change has been done or happened in Iraq. And we hoped, all of us, we politicians, also Iraqi citizens, that we will have a new start for a new Iraq. For sure, new Iraq cannot be the same copy of the Saddam regime regarding human rights, women's rights, democratic values, and the way of doing business in the Iraqi politics. So once for sure, we have to repeat it again and again, that the history of Iraq is so beautiful and very rich. The Iraqi history is really part of the Jewish history, is part of it, the Christian history, part of it, Arab history, Kurd history, and etc. All of us together, we got the Iraqi history, which many of us very, very proud of it. And I think you study it in your college, in university, about the development of the civilization in Iraq. If you go back now to the reality in Iraq, and you are hearing the Iraqi music, you will be wondering, it is the same kind of music what you are going to hear by many Israeli. This is very famous that the brothers, the Kuwaiti brother, we call them the Kuwaiti brothers, Saleh and his brother, they were from the very famous Iraqi people in the art of Iraq, in the Iraqi art, in the Iraqi music, and etc. More than that, if you go now, today in Baghdad, and you walk up in Baghdad, you will see the young people, even the young people, they will tell you, this is Jewish area, this is Jewish houses. And usually this is one from the best areas in Baghdad. We remember them, we know the families very well. Till now, even this Islamist politician in Baghdad, all of us, we are talking very proud of our first finance minister in Iraq New Republic, Mr. Heskel Sasson. We say it, all of us, we say it, we have never got a finance minister which he deserved Iraq like Mr. Heskel Sasson. So you see, you cannot split the Iraqi Jewish history from the Iraqi history and not from the Iraqi reality. More than that, I think, honestly, we have to look from the strategical point of view, from the reality, the capacity. Today, we have Iran, superpower, and Turkey, the second superpower in the Middle East, and the third superpower is Israel. So all of those three countries, they have enough possibility and tools, and they are the power in Middle East. Iraq sits between those three, let's say, superpowers in the Orient understanding. So we have the choice. Either we go with Iran, we know how it will end, a big war for nothing. We will be used for nothing. Or we will go with Turkey, and I think it is impossible because the Iraqi-Turkey history is so heavy and so complicated. But you see, there is in Israel about or more than 500,000 Israeli citizen, Israeli Jewish, who they are Iraqi origin. And we have also in Iraq many origin, which is an Israeli or Jewish origin. By the way, the Iraqi guide from 1936, the officially Iraqi guide from 1936, we didn't say to the Jewish that you are Jewish. We say either Musa, the people from Musa, or we say Israeli. So it is really a truth. Before the state of Israel does exist, we call the Iraqi Jewish Israeli. We know very well from where they came to Iraq. We know the history 2005 years ago, how somebody in Iraq, the king that time, he did attack the Israeli state and brought them hostage to Iraq. So we know there is an Israeli state. We know it has been exist. And we don't want to repeat the same stories as it was the case 2,500 or about 3,000 years ago. So I really believe also by the time of the internet, Facebook, Twitter, and etc., I'm so proud and happy to say that no one can control the youth in Iraq again. They are so open, they are so smart, they are looking forward to learn, to have connection, to have friendship. And I am very sure we know that there is many connection on the Facebook, on the Twitter between Iraqi youth and Israeli youth. This is the normality. So we can do what we want, we politicians. We can play crazy. We shut down the TV station, or we order our TV station, no news about Israel, no news about the Jews. But the young people, who they are more than 65% from the Iraqi society, they are very well informed and they are very well connected with all of the world. One of them is Israel. Plus, don't forget, we look to the Israeli state with very positive point of view. This Israeli state does exist just 75 years ago. And now they did succeed in very direction. They did succeed to establish a real beautiful society, where I am not talking about the political difference. Even this political difference in Israel show us, all of us, that there is a democratic values, that there is a government and there is opposition, which I would really love to have seen it one day in Iraq. So the level of the Israeli development is very positive in our understanding, and why we Iraq should be always being hostage through the Arab countries and through the Islamist country. All of them, they were so afraid from the democratic development in Iraq, and they did block it through terrorist attack, through different tools. I believe Iraq after 2003, willing and able and to go in the peace process and the modernization, the Iraqi state in the normal way of life. And normal way of life cannot accept those complicated ideological Islamist or Arab. Normal way of life, it means having peace, and that's why we need peace between Iraq and Israel, between Iraq and all of the countries.
Let me try to understand something, because from what you're saying, I'm definitely getting the understanding that, Iraqis, whether they're part of, the government or academia or even, regular people, have a very clear understanding of the ties, that link the Jews with the state of Israel, and that the state of Israel belongs, where it is. And that there's a history there that they acknowledge, and that they have actually been part of that history, as you mentioned. So why is it you think that there's such a willingness to deny, the existence of the state of Israel, its right to be, and also to a greater extent, that of the Jewish people as a whole to claim a homeland, when they have been witness of history, so they know exactly what happens in Jewish history and why we had to live in exile for so many centuries. Do you think that it's directly related to the Islamic Republic of Iran, its influence on Iraq, and also maybe its clerics? Because there's been an attempt to kind of remap Iraq to the colors of Khomenism, I call it, rather than Shia Islam, which is a beautiful religion. Do you think that has played a role tremendously? And how do you feel are people positioning themselves, in particular the youth? Do you think there's a hunger to side, I would say, or to align themselves with Israel and liberalism and to embrace democracy versus the promises of the Islamic Republic of perpetual jihad and gaining more territories to their ideology? Where do you feel the Iraqis are standing in those dynamics?
Well, yes, thank you for these questions, my dear. Let me go on the election reality. In the beginning, after I came back from Israel, the first visit was 2004. I became in the first statistics, such kind of election, just 4,000, I think 4,300, 400 voters. After a very short time, few months, I became 13,000 voters. After that, I became more than 27,000 voters. After that, I was the head of an election list, independent election list. Everybody knows who is the head of this list. It's Mithal al Alusi, who does repeatedly, again and again, we need peace. And they did repeatedly, again and again, they did attack us. They say Mithal is receiving each month a few $millions from Israel. And they say Mithal and etc. With all of the campaign against us, our list did receive more than 200,000 voters. So you see the development, 4,000, 13,000, and 200,000 voters. For sure, we are not paying money to have those voters. For sure, we don't have weapon to force people to vote for us. And we don't have ministries to promise people you will have job if you vote for us. So let me tell you, 200,000, more than 200,000 clean voters. That means crème de la crème, the Iraqi society, which they don't have anything against having peace. More than that, many of them, they want to have peace. And they want to have a normal Iraq and modern Iraq. So this is one point. The second point, you say it, Iranian influence. In the reality, yeah, we got the Iranian influence. Today, we have Iranian controlling the issues. It's not just a political influence or a religious influence. They are controlling and forcing the issues in Iraq. And if the politician doesn't follow, they will be killed. If the minister doesn't follow, they will be killed. This is the reality. So those people who they are talking about invasion and against American, British invasion, they did control now Iraq in the name of God. By the way, there is many scandals in Iraq. In these 20 years, the scandals has been repeated. They steal the money, they attack the Iraqi society, they attack the Iraqi institution. And the Iraqi citizen, they do understand now who is behind it. It is not America, it is not Israel, it is not London, it is not Rome, it is not China or the other countries, it is Iran. And we believe to know, all of us Iraqi, that this scandals, this criminality, this terrorist network from Iran attacking the Iraqi state, and they really do want to have the full control and eliminated the Iraqi state. So that's why this is one reason more for the Iraqi to reject the old way of speech, the old way of language, Israel, Zionist, imperialism, and etc. behind our problem. No, behind our problem is very clear. ISIS from one side, non-democratic country in the area from the second side, and the most dangerous one, the Iranian Revolution Guard, the Iranian terrorist network, the Iranian Revolution Guard. And we know how many now militias they do have. They do have about 60, 70 militias organization in Iraq. Why do they need that much of militia? Why do they need that much of weapon on the street? It will be a joke if they try always to say we are ready to fight Israel, to fight America, and to fight Britain. Do they want to fight really America through old weapons, those naive and primitive militia organization? No. They want to have control on the Iraqi citizen. They want to have control on the Iraqi reaction. And 2 years ago, we have to say it and repeat it. 2 years ago, more than 800 Iraqi young people, they have been shot on the street, in front of the cameras, in front of all of the TV cameras, in front of the government, in the Iraqi parliament. Who has done it? Who does kill them? The Iranian militias, the Iraqi Iranian militias. So because of that also, the Iraqi now are free from this complex, from this Iranian complex, from Arab, Iranian complex, and they want to be free and they want to go in the normal way to be part of the international community and to understand that Middle East cannot be always taking hostage in the hand of the terrorists, either Palestinian terrorists or Islamists, ISIS or Iranian. For us, all of them, they are in the same bad corner. Thank you.
What you're describing to me in relation to the Islamic Republic of Iran sounds very much like a form of occupation that, Iran has exerted so much influence on Iraq that it's almost, holding you hostage. What in your mind, because you have personally suffered and put everything on the line when it comes to defending not only your country, but, your ideals for peace and prosperity. What would need to happen? What would you say, to not just Western capital, but the international community in terms of how Iraq has suffered by the hand of the Islamic Republic of Iran, how you have witnessed your country, being torn apart by war and murder and, persecution, just so that, Ayatollah Khamenei in Iran could claim Iraq as being a clan state? What would need to happen? What help and support would you need to allow Iraqis to reclaim, number one, their state institutions, number two, their freedom, and to assert their sovereign rights to decide what is it that they want to see happen in the future, how they would formulate, this future and actually allow them. Iraq is an immensely rich country with tremendous potential, and in my mind, should be a leading power in the region in a very positive way. What needs to change, not just on the ground, but maybe the behavior of the international community, and because they have repeated quite often that Iraq is a strategic partner. The Americans, who have conversations with state officials in Iraq every day. So is London, Paris, many other Western capitals. But nothing is done in terms of how do we liberate Iraqis, from this influence that is being exerted, out of Iran. That is so nefarious for you and your future. And again, you have a majority of young people under 35. I think it's 55% of young people under 35 years old. So you have a tremendous, power in human resources, people who have gone to university, very well educated, people who want to succeed and do really well. How do we empower them? How do we make their voices heard? And how can we allow politicians, to have the courage to stand up and do what you did, but of course the fear of being executed, murdered, or even harassed by Iran is so prominent that they are, they're willing to stay silent. So what do we do? How do we do to change those dynamics?
Thank you. Honestly, we have to take the responsibility in Iraq in the hand, and we have it. We are not asking anybody outside Iraq to support us, to give us money or weapon or whatever. No, no, no. This is Iraq. This is our responsibility, and we have to fight for our rights and for our country and the future for our citizens. But let me tell you the following facts. Many times the militia, the Iranian militia, Iranian Revolution Guard officially, they took American, they took the British hostage, and they killed them. We have to remember how many times they have done it. They did took a British citizen, they took them hostage, and they did kill them. And by the way, in my house, part of the negotiation between those militias and the British side that started in my house. So I am very well informed about some issues like that. Last few months, the militia, they did kill an American citizen with his wife, his children, working in Iraq. They shot him on the street. I think by 12 o'clock, something like that. They shot them just like that. And if I ask myself, do we have any really reaction from London and DC against those Iranian militias or terrorists? The reaction is zero. The only reaction maybe which we have seen that has been always tried to talk very nice, very gentle, very sweet to the Iranian Revolution Guard, with the hope that they will not take your people hostage again, or they will not kill them again. But if they kill Iraqis, this is not the point. If they take an Iraqi hostage, more now than 4,000 Iraqi hostages in the hand of the militia, nobody talk about. Even by the time 8 months, about 1 year, and the fight was on the street between people, they have nothing in the hand, just a small paper, we want to be free from Iran, that's what they are saying. We want to have service, we want to have democracy, we want to have human rights. Just that, and they have been killed, shot on the street. No one, really, the report about it in Europe and in America was zero, really zero. Exactly as doesn't happen. I think repeating the mistake. It is always good that you have an idea and you try to control the Middle East and a peaceful situation in the Middle East. But we have seen it with Iran. This atom agreement, which has been signed between America, Europe, and Iran, it doesn't function. Not because there is a mistake, a technical mistake, because the Iranian side, they don't want to, they are always willing to trick us. Their goals, I am a Muslim, I am an Arab, I am an Oriental, and we understand each other. Like the Israeli, they understand the case better than you, European, with respect, and the American. We know the Iranian goals is to have the atom bomb in the hand. Mm-hmm. So that's mean more troubles, more unsecure region, and more Russia and China in the game in Middle East. So Iraq will be suffer more than the case today. Israel has to suffer, and all of the countries. This is one maybe of the reason why Saudi Arabia, the total opposite from Iran. They are really the total opposite in the religion. The Saudi religion believe the devil is in Iran. The Iranian, they believe the devil is in Wahhabi, in Saudi Arabia. But now they try to find some normalization between both countries. Because you left the area, I mean the West does left the area. This is not fair and not also safe for your countries. Don't forget the terrorists, they are so proud of September 11. Mm-hmm. They have it in their history as the best attack, the best what they did deliver. They did also repeated such kind of action in Belgium, in France, in Spain. They were repeatedly trying to do it. Hezbollah in Lebanon, they have done it. against the Jewish in Argentina. Look, how far is it? Really far away from Middle East, far away from everything, which in Middle East is the attack from Hezbollah in Belgium, in Bulgarian, and they did kill Israeli citizens there. So we are talking about terrorist network. It will be a huge mistake if we repeat our failure and mistake and try to believe they are fine and they can't be changed. They cannot be changed. They will attack you as they did attack us in the past, and they will attack us in the future.
No, I have to agree with you. I think that Iraq stands a cautionary tale, and a lesson of what not to do. Because I feel that, I mean, if I understand you correctly, that.
But please, Kathy, please allow me to ask something.
Sure.
Shortly, we believe to hear that Israel police or whatever, they did stop weapon delivery has been delivered or has been smuggled to the West Bank. So you see, and they say the information which they got or what we did receive, that this weapon, part of it come either from Syria or from Iraq. So even the weapon in Syria, it is most Iraqi. It is the Iraqi militia operating. So the Iranian guard operating there through the Iraqi militias. This is a very, very dangerous development, and it shows us that those militias in Iraq, they have been used to start a war, to start terrorist actions. By the way, you don't know maybe Iraq very well, but we have two provinces. One is Samawa in the south, close to Saudi Arabia, as you know, and the second city, very famous city, Sinjar, where the Yazidi has been attacked in the north. If you look to Iraqi map, Sinjar in the north, Samawa in the south, and you will see that the distance between Samawa to Israel and from Sinjar to Israel, the same. Why do the Iranian Revolution Guard and the Iraqi militia, they are building their bases for missiles and military bases? Why do they need that? Don't forget, Sinjar is in the middle of the Sunni and the Kurd area. So why do they need that? So we have to be very careful. They always prepare themselves for a danger vacuum, security vacuum in Middle East.
Well, I agree with you. I think that we have lacked foresight and also a clear appreciation, what it is that the Islamic Republic wants to do. I think that we always missing this element, this understanding that the Islamic Republic of Iran is actually, its ideology is geared towards export. It was never intended to be limited to the borders of Iran. And so when Khomeini took over, he had every intention of exporting, his ideology to the rest, not only of the Islamic world in the Middle East, but I think to a greater extent, the world altogether, because he had this ambition of, bringing the word, to every nation and subjugate them. And I think you're making a very interesting point in terms of, why is it that Iran is so intent on having influence in Iraq, is that it wants to be able to move its military. And also, I think to offer, cover for its operation by, for example, alleging that, those movements of weapons are coming out of Iraq and have nothing to do with Iran, when truly what they're trying to do is to attack Israel and Jewish communities across the world. So, but I didn't know about the geography and the distance in between those cities. So thank you for bringing that up. I want to go back to normalization with Israel. The Abraham Accords we're going on to the 3rd anniversary of the Abraham Accord, which is, wonderful development for the region that I think very few people, thought, could actually, happen, but it did. And I think it kind of, bursted the door open, saying that, yes, when people, put their heads together, yes, we could have peace. Yes, we could, old enemies could become good friends and things could advance for the better. So how do you see now, because there's been talks of, for example, Saudi Arabia joining in, maybe Oman, Kuwait, obviously nothing has been, said to the effect that, yes, they committed to anything. But there's a clear movement towards that. It's expected now because it has worked so well for those countries who did join. What would you think need to happen? What are the main roadblocks that we're facing currently? Do you think it's more government roadblocks, or do you think that the people still in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, in Oman, and across the region need to kind of catch up with the notion that, one, Israelis and Jews are not the enemy, and number two, that Israel is here to stay, and that by being pro-Israeli doesn't mean that they cannot be pro-Palestinian, that the two are not mutually exclusive, that peace needs to happen when both people get equal support, so that a real peace could develop from that. What are we coming up against? And you have a much better understanding of the Arab psyche and what is moving people. So what is it that is preventing them? Why are they so stuck?
Madam, and the day as we got the news that the agreement has been signed between Emirates, Israel, Bahrain, the media, they did ask me in Iraq. I was saying, this is a happy day, good news. This is really a happy day to have peace in the Middle East. But this is also a sad day, a very sad day for us Iraqi. That was my answer, because Iraq is not in the game, because Iraq is out of the game. That's what we believe in Iraq. We were so happy to have seen the normality does win. But also let us be honest. Of course, the Israeli, they want to have peace. Of course, many Arab countries, they are willing to go in this direction, but they need help. Such kind of new big development, important development, it must be also carried from the international superpower, America, England, and others. Also, let us be fair. I am not American, so I have no opinion about President Trump. And I am not Israeli, so I have no political opinion about Mr. Netanyahu. But without those both gentlemen, without the willing of both gentlemen to go in this direction and to succeed, we will never have peace. So the people, in general, millions of people, don't wait that to have millions of people on the street repeating, we want peace, we want peace. Okay, we know the situation is beautiful. We need decision. We need decision makers. And we need power to help those decision makers just to do it. In my case in Iraq, I am so close to many American friends, British friends, and etc. They did advise me, sometimes also direct, advise me, Mithal, just focus on the democratic side. Don't talk about peace and Israel. It is not good for you. Oh my God, this is the advice which I did receive it from some Americans and some British and some others. Don't focus on peace. Don't focus on Israel. Don't talk about it. We need people in the international community, because peace, you cannot do it just both sides. We need an international agreement, an international cover, an international space to carry the peace in Middle East as well as outside the Middle East. We need America very strong here, in this case, as also Great Britain, because of the order relationship, because of the real relationship in economic and policy between Arab countries and London and DC. But if we have continue going in this softy politic with Iran, soft politic with Iranian Revolution Guard, how can you make peace in Iraq? We are alone. Having such kind of bad signals doesn't help the Iraqi liberal to go further and to win the game. It does help more the Iranian, the terrorists in both sides, Sunni and Shi'i. I think, to be honest, the time is over for those Islamist, corrupted, terrorist, killer. Those people, they didn't succeed 20 years. The time is over. Iraq coming again in the middle of the political arena. But the main questions are the superpowers in Europe or in the West, are they going to support Iraqi citizen, to accept the free Iraqi citizen, or they are just interested to have some deals with Iran through Iraq, or to use Iraq as a game tools to reach deals with with Iran. I believe the time is to have a conference, maybe in London, maybe you can call for it, not to call Arab countries, to call human beings from the Arab countries, women for the women rights, people for individual people, maybe politicians, maybe members of the parliament. We should come together outside of the willing and the control of the governments in the region, maybe one from Israel, one from Iraq, or two from Israel, Saudi Arabia, and others. And we will say what we really believe and the need for our Middle East security and the future of Middle East. You will see that those individuals, those academic, research people, politicians, members of parliament, they will deliver to you totally different pictures about what you have received from those government. So we need really to have such kind of platform, some kind of conference. It will help more, but also it is your game if you can help in this direction. We need it in the Middle East. Nobody willing is to have war. Nobody willing is to kill somebody. But also we should not forget to stop having war. To stop having war, we need clearly a strong operation to stop the atom bomb. With atom bomb, we cannot have peace. So such kind of operation, it must be happen. And by the way, it is not fair. It is totally not fair to sit down and to watch from big distance and to wait that the Israeli, they will be forced to do it alone. We have to do it, all of us together, and to help the Iranian to be free from this danger, terrorist conflict, and to help the Iranian to be free and to exist as a free human being outside of the control of mullahs.
So do you think, I mean, you know, this idea of hosting a conference is actually quite interesting. Do you think that, you know, if we were, for example, to, you know, if any organization or whoever wanted to, you know, to set something up like this, do you think that parliamentaries and, you know, state officials from Iraq and across the Middle East would have the courage to actually stand up and say what they actually, not just themselves, but what their constituents really feel, you know, about Israel, about peace, about the Islamic Republic of Iran? Do you think that they would be able to do this? Because it's very difficult for state officials to kind of stick the neck out there. I mean, you've done it and you paid the price. But very few people have your courage. Very few people have, you know, the kind of moral fiber that is required of state officials to actually, you know, go against the current and actually speak truth to, you know, to tyranny and fascism, which is the Islamic Republic. Do you think maybe, you know, because what it sounds like to me is like you talking about, you know, building peace, you know, from the bottom up, so that rather than to use, you know, the conduit of state institutions, you would rather have the people intervene and basically hold the state officials into account and force them to actually manifest their desire for peace, their desire for normalization, which would be wonderful. And in truth, we haven't engaged with, I think, the people. A lot of the time we speak to, you know, leaders, world leaders, as opposed to, you know, those people that those leaders represent. And a lot of the time, I think there's a dichotomy, and that actually the people want peace. I mean, I think Iraqis have seen enough wars to last them for a few centuries. And I hope that they never have to go through the trauma of war ever again. But state officials don't seem to be too bothered by this, because obviously, you know, they're protected and they feel safe. The people suffer. So it would be very interesting to see, you know, a peace movement that would be pioneered by the people, and have them break away from, you know, the old narrative of hate and bigotry and prejudices, and because really it hasn't served it. And it would be lovely to move away from it and actually, you know, for people to realize that they have a lot more to gain together than they have, you know, hating one another for no good reasons. You know, as you mentioned before, the Jews have a history in the region. They have belonged since day one. And they've always been part of, you know, the Middle East history. I mean, for obvious reasons, is that they were there to begin with. So how do people would respond? Do you think that if something like this was to be organized, people would show up, people would have the courage to, to maybe face antagonism back home, or like you, being indicted, for engaging with the enemy? I think that in Iraq you have a law that says if you engage with Israel, you could be sentenced to death.
Well, ma'am, let's go back before the Abraham Accord. We know it very well how good the relationship between, as example, between Bahrain and Israel. Mm-hmm. It does exist of very high level and in different direction. But Bahrain, they were not able, and I do understand that. A small country are not able to say we are here in contact and we'd love to have normality. I think Bahrain, they have to say it because they did feel they are not alone. America is also behind it. Israel is also willing. Great Britain welcome that, and etc. So they declare it. I think many also small countries, they are not willing to be the first who's saying, yeah, I will do it. But I am very sure we will have people from Saudi Arabia, from Kuwait, from Emirates for sure, from Oman, from Tunisian, from Libyan, from Morocco, from Egypt, from Kurdistan, from Iraq. I'm very sure they will be attend in this kind of conference, not because they are in love with Israel. No, I didn't say that. Because they do not understand Middle East has now a huge security back home. Because of Iran, because of not talking to each other, because we don't have dialogue, and to have Israeli and Arabs and other countries in such kind of conference, it will show the international community that really we are taking hostage from the government, that really the people thinking different than the government, that really the majority of the people, the people which they have respect, they would love to talk to each other, an Israeli and an Iraqi and Syrian and etc. Beside that, I'm now in London talking to you from London, and I know it. I was many times in Great Britain, London. I mean, and we know it. How many Iraqi Jewish families are very well connected with Iraqi Muslim family, or how many Saudis, or how many from Kuwait, how many. They are really very well connected. They work together, they sit together, and etc. And I did really enjoy it. Three meetings where people from Syria, from Libya, from Egypt, from Iraq, from Israel, from others, and we sit together and we discuss. Yeah, the conference will exist with very successful way, but maybe not everybody happy with it, because that's mean the citizens of Middle East trying to have the future of the Middle East in the hand. But I still believe Great Britain, America, West Europe, we need them to support, to invite for such kind of conference to make it easy for them to come to our people, and we will come, I'm very sure. Then after that, the Iraqi government answers their position. If we Iraqis say we don't have the willing to be in war. In the opposite, we have the willing to be in dialogue. In the opposite, we have the willing to see our Iraqi, Jewish, Israeli friends and family again. There is another important point. The Iraqi Jewish, they left Iraq by the 50. They went to Israel mostly. They went to Israel. And they have to sign, as they did left. They have to sign. They lost, because of this signature, they did lose their Iraqi identity. There is nothing in the constitution that days and today which allow the government to take your identity. More than that, the Iraqi Jewish committee is very well known, very wealthy committee. They got companies, fabrics, land, and etc. Everything, it has been freezing that days up to now. We are talking about a few $100 million, maybe up to $3-4 billion. It is not fair. Yes, it is not fair and not legal that people stealing the Iraqi budget, stealing also now the Jewish committee and the Jewish houses in Iraq. By the way, I am very well informed. I just say it in the media that days. I got, of course, problems because of that. I just say the Jewish money in Iraq, the Jewish houses in Iraq, it has been used from the Iranian Revolution Guard. It is under their control. They use the money to finance terrorist action, to kill Jewish, to kill Israeli. We have to be very careful. And I think time is now for the international committee to ask the Iraqi government in a very kindly way, what's about this money, what's how to be used, how we will work it in the future. Because the people, they did exist, the owner does exist. So what will happen if an Iraqi has a house in England? Can the British police, can they take the house from him and or his amount or his account? I think now is time to start in a practical way to deal with the rights of a human being in Iraq and Israel in the same direction.
Well, you make a lot of valid points. I'm going to have to leave it there because we're running out of time, and I know that you also on a schedule, so I don't want to keep you. Thank you again ever so much to come to Elnet UK, and accepting to be our guest today in our podcast. Very grateful. I wish you all the best of luck in the future, and I hope that to meet you soon on your travel back to London. And hopefully with good news. I mean, again, I wish you all the success in the world. You've been a tremendous brand, to the Jewish community, to Israel. And I wanted to thank you for your courage and everything that you have put on the line in order to do so. I wish that more people were like you, Mithal. So thank you again ever so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All the best. Thank you.